Sugar Rashad Evans in the building. You're getting ready for your matchup with Rampage Jackson. It's kind of an influencer boxing match.
Yep. That's the category we in now. Influencer.
Wonderboy was on here just a couple weeks ago, and he said he was in the gym training with you guys one day, and he looked over at Spong, and he said, let me go train with him. And he said, Rashad came over and protected my that you're not sparring with him. You're going to get hurt.
Back then, you couldn't spar with Tyrone Spong. Like, I remember I was sparring Tyrone Spong, and it was right before I had to fight Phil Davis. I was like showing off a little bit, and he was like, all right. And then he like threw a shot. Wow, bow. Blasted me to my ribs. I finished the round out, but my ribs was cooked after that. I had to get some shots in my ribs before the fight with Phil Davis, man.
Dirty Boxing Championships, it's coming.
Oh, Yoel Romero, my God.
So it's 4-ounce gloves. You get the elbow. Like, I think you would be phenomenal in that.
And that's something I would definitely consider doing. It was so much emotion going into that fight. You know, I was with Greg Jackson, and there was a sense of betrayal with the whole thing with them now back in John. And, you know, I had to leave my New Mexican family. It got to the point where...
All right, everybody, welcome back to Overdogs Podcast. We got a very special episode for you today. They're all special, all a bunch of special people coming on. You know, I maybe should have been in some special classes when I was in school, but I wasn't. And now I'm doing all types of special work with special people. So we're going to keep it rolling. Till we get to the good stuff, make sure you like and subscribe to Overdogs Podcast. Make sure you're keeping up to date with what we got going on, because we stay up to date in combat sports, and we're giving you the next news before anyone else. Most of the time. So, with that said, speaking of the next news, what's the latest with Dirty Boxing Championships? It's coming. This episode will be out the week of the fight, March 22nd, Coconut Grove, Florida, at the Hangar. We're selling tickets, and it's going to be a great show. We're going to have lots of celebs in the audience, lots of great fights on the card. I mean, co-main and main event just literally blowing the doors off the place. Can't wait for it. What's the latest, Josh? You got any updates?
For sure. I actually just got like 3 or 4 calls earlier today. There's a lot of people that want to be involved with Dirty Boxing. A lot of sponsors, a lot of big companies. We have built something so unique in the sports game, right? And the sports game's blowing up. Combat sports, blowing up. But UFC is so expensive, right, for these guys to get into. The other stuff is you know, not as interesting, to be honest, because here's what we built. We're not competing with the UFC. We're not competing in MMA. We're not competing against boxing, right? You got the two main, right, are UFC and boxing, okay? That's what it is. That's where all the money is. Mm-hmm. But, and hang on. Much respect to BKFC, because they carved a niche out, right? So mad respect to BKFC and Feldman and what he's built there. Super impressive. He's got a multi-$100-million company. But what we built with 4-ounce gloves, with the elbows, with the nonstop action, it's scalable. And it's scalable to a wide population. And so people are starting to realize this. Like, sponsors are hitting me left and right, and they're like, yo, like, you really have something on your hands. So we're going to do it March 22nd in the Hangar at Coconut Grove. Banger spot, 20,000 square feet, wide open, on the water. Like, it's so sick, dude.
Live show will be free on YouTube. Yes. For those that can't make it live, watch on YouTube. Go like and subscribe to Dirty Boxing Official on YouTube, and you will get the update that the show has started.
Yes. You can watch YouTube, Facebook. Everybody's got a different, platform they like. Instagram, Twitter. We're going live on all of them. We want to bring you guys our product live and free, because we know what we have, right? Like, you know this, Mike. We turned down 2-3 deals, distribution deals. We know what we have. I want as many eyeballs on that as possible, because then the big deals come. I don't know if y'all saw this, but Dana said I'm getting a billion a year on distribution. whoever it may be. My guess is Netflix. But he's like, I'm getting $1 billion a year
I think they're gonna go to Netflix
for UFC.
Yeah.
Those of you who are diehard Overdogs fans know there are two things I love more than anything. Traveling the world with the fam. We just got back from Disney. 2, staying connected to the latest in combat sports. Thanks to NordVPN, no matter where I am in the world, I get unrestricted access to all my favorite sports. No blackouts, no geo-blocks, just pure action. And it's not just about streaming. NordVPN's threat protection keeps me safe from all types of malware and shady websites. So I never have to worry about sketchy links messing up my experience. And the best part, if you're not happy, you get 30 days to get your money back. No risk, no hassle. Go to nordvpn.com/overdogs to get a huge discount plus 4 months on top of your NordVPN plan. Or hit the link in the description to use my promo code OVERDOGS and lock in your exclusive deal today. Stay connected, stay protected, and never miss a fight again. Big shout out to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. You think of Netflix, and they're doing a lot of the Jake Paul stuff too. But I mean,
Yeah.
Jake Paul's connected to his brother, who is WWE, who is UFC now. They're all
That's right.
merged.
Or with Netflix, yeah.
I was gonna save this question for when Rashad showed up, but did you guys see the news? Like they want to do a cross promoted event where it's gonna be boxing, WWE, and MMA, like UFC, all in one night. Like, yeah, now it's all under what, TKO or whatever it's called. Yeah, they're gonna throw some wild card, and I was gonna ask Rashad what he thinks about that, because that sounds like a mess.
How you gonna know which fights are real and which ones?
Exactly. How do you have like them flopping around doing the stuff in WWE, then go to Ilya Taporia knocking out somebody like Max Holloway? Can you imagine the MMA fans sitting there going like, seeing WWE fans say this is fake, dude? That's our boy Max Holloway. You, I'll beat you. It's like, what? Like, it's gonna be a huge mess. And then you have the boxing main event with Canelo or something, and then the scoring's all and the ref doesn't count a knee. Like, dude, it's gonna be a cluster. I don't like that idea. I mean, I'll watch it.
I'll
watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
But with that said, I wanted to say this about dirty boxing. If you're a combat sports fan, avid viewer, there is no reason not to watch this card. There's no app you have to download. Go to the YouTube, dude. Like, there's no reason to not watch a Yoel Romero or Andre Arlovsky fight under a new rule set. Go throw a subscription to us on YouTube. That simple. You don't even have to stream it.
Dude, you got Yoel Romero, you got Andre Arlovsky, you got Maurice Green, you got Mike Breeden, you got Yuli Diaz.
I don't know if I'm dropping anything. We can cut this, but Bang Boucher. I saw him on the card. Dude, he has one of the craziest KOs of all time.
Aluwale versus the Wolf.
Yes.
The Wolf is returning. Yeah. That guy is he's pumped. He's always
pumped. Here's the thing, guys, is like what people don't understand about this, and as we build this up, they'll start to understand. But like, you know how many guys are super high level in UFC and MMA, but they're wrestling subpar or their jiu-jitsu subpar, right? So they can't climb those rankings, but they got hands and they can strike. There's so many of those guys out there. Now we get to bring that together. Mm-hmm. And now these guys have an opportunity. Dude, all right, so I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. And I said, could you imagine, like, all right, so heavyweight, UFC heavyweight, nobody gives a right? Really don't. It's just nobody wants to watch 260-pound guys wrestle each other. Some fights are fun, most aren't. Boxing in the prime, to me, I'm not old enough for like Ali and those fights, but like prime Tyson, Holyfield, give me those fights. And then it dropped off for so long. And now even when you look at like Fury, Usyk, all these guys, they're such good boxers now that it's like they can jab, 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 jab. There's not a lot of knockouts. I think we have a renaissance opportunity for heavyweights in DBX. And why I say that is because in the prime boxing era, they wanted people to stand and bang. And now you got two big boys in an 18-foot ring that have to stand and bang. And they can use elbows, and they can use spinning back fists, and they can clinch, and they can do all this stuff. Like, I think there's an opportunity for like a renaissance of heavyweights in DBX.
It's interesting to me when boxing almost had, they had a little run there for a little while with the big three at heavyweight, when you had Wilder, Joshua, and Tyson Fury all battling. Then Andy Ruiz comes in there and knocks out, and then let's go. So like
400 years, 400 years.
But they had all this steam, and like those fights were huge. The Deontay Wilder and Tyson fights, but then Joshua gets knocked out by Ruiz. Now you have like 4, and then Ruiz it fumbled. They fumbled that, and now Usyk, like what cruiserweight should be. He's not your typical heavyweight. Now he runs this.
He gets the job done.
No, dude, he's fantastic, 100%. Yeah,
he gets the job done.
Yep. It's interesting. I think you have a point there, and if I could say, we've had a few fighters like Michael Bisping, and then one of our last ones. I don't remember if it was Matt Serra or not, but they said there's these guys in gyms that always win fights in the gyms. Like they beat everybody, champions in the gym, but then they go out into the cage and they lose. And I wonder if dirty boxing is maybe like a perfect middle ground for some of those guys. Like we'll find those guys that are those killers, and then the rule set's perfect enough where they have all their skill sets, amplified under the rule set. You get what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah, I do. Hey, there he is.
What's
up, man? Sugar Rashad Evans in the building. How you doing, champ?
I'm chilling.
Yeah.
You getting ready for your matchup with Rampage Jackson. When is that?
It's April 12th in Albuquerque.
Oh, it's in Albuquerque?
Yeah.
I'm going to that then.
It's in Albuquerque.
It's kind of an influencer boxing match, no?
Yep. That's the category we in now. Influencer.
Hey, that's all right, man. That's a good, not a bad category.
Listen, I'll tell you right now, man, I'm an influencer, man. It's some good money in it. You know what I'm saying? If you can get with the right promotion and get with the right team, then it's a good look.
I heard that. So stylistically, based on how you guys fought in MMA, and your styles are quite different. Rampage is more on the forward foot, chin tucks. He's coming forward and he's trying to land the bolo shots. You're more of a striker as a point fighter. You'll play the point and then boom, you're setting up that big shot the whole time. What is your game plan going into this fight, and what do you expect to see from Rampage?
Well, because it's not so much room like it is in the cage, I gotta be a little bit more forward facing. I gotta be able to hold my ground. I can't dance around as much, so I'm gonna look to establish my position when I can, but at the same time, not get away from the fact that I do got good movement. So I'm gonna use my movement, but I'm gonna stand and I'm gonna move forward because I feel like, he does come forward and he does got a lot of power, but I feel like I'm faster than him. So I'm gonna move forward when I need to and evade when I need to, but I'm very cognizant of the size of the ring. So I'm not gonna try to run and try to be too elusive because there's no takedowns. And a lot of the movement what I did when I was fighting him the first time was trying to get him to overcommit so that way I can take him down.
So you're saying you're gonna meet him in the middle and y'all gonna bang it out?
Yeah, Mike. I mean, at this point, it's it's why not? You know what I'm saying? Like I never boxed before, so he never boxed before, so I mean, it's gonna be different for both of us. So it's gonna be interesting to see who's boxing reigns supreme. But I always liked the craft of boxing. I feel like it's one of the more beautiful sports when it comes to the combat, just because of the fact that there's so many different styles out there. And once you start getting into it, you start to really unfold and see the beautifulness of the science and how hard it is. And then you start being like, dang, it's more than just throwing bows. It's a lot of setups. It's a lot of movements and a lot of small nuances that you really wouldn't understand unless you started to really dive into it.
Yeah, I get that. So, if you could name 3 of your top boxers that you would like to replicate some of their style, who would it be?
Number one out the gate would be Joe Frazier. I think Joe Frazier, he did a really good job with his rhythmic style coming forward. Then a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard, because Sugar Ray Leonard had that speed, had that beauty. And of course, one of my goats, Roy Jones Jr. I love how Roy has style, and Roy was one for me that really got me into the whole fight game in general.
That's our boy. This is my guy Ice Bags right here, and Mac Malley here.
What's up, Ice Bags?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So, do you know Roy? Y'all have a relationship?
Yeah, I know Roy. I got to have Roy come out to my camp when I was fighting Jones, and we clicked from there. But Roy, real good people, man, real good people.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Mike, when he was fighting Eddie Alvarez, Mike came up here, and we went out to Roy's house, and Mike got some training in with Roy.
Okay,
Yeah.
you out in Picola?
Yes, I'm in Destin, which is like 30 minutes out.
Yeah, okay. Destin's a little fun spot, man.
It's dope. It's dope. People, don't be telling people that, man. I like it quiet here.
Yeah, Destin is one of those locations where it's
It is.
a nice little spot, man. Beautiful beaches, all of that.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a little Mike Tyson in you.
Yeah, you want to see it? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Mike is definitely one of those dudes, man. I didn't even, mention him, but me and Mike have, you know, I train with Mike's trainer. You know what I'm saying? Billy White, and Billy White has definitely left his imprint in my style. So you definitely may see elements of Mike Tyson in there.
I got a quick question here. So when you're training for boxing versus UFC, and I know you got to be in great shape to fight in UFC, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you go in rounds. But like boxing's on a different level, bro, on the cardio.
Oh yeah.
Like, so how are you preparing on that? Because that's what kills everybody in boxing.
I know.
Is the cardio.
I know you, and it kind of sneaks up on you too, because you don't think that you're gonna get as tired because you're not worrying about everything else. But
Yeah.
having to be consistent with that movement and with those punches, it does wear on you. So what I've been doing is I've just been doing a lot of rounds, really just getting a lot of rounds in there. Not all hard rounds, a lot of rounds I've been getting just to get the rounds in, to get my body moving, to get the muscle memory down. I do a lot of aerodyne bike, a lot of road work as well too. But there's nothing like the real thing, So even outside of the road work and the aerodyne, it's just getting in there and doing it and just being consistent about it. Hitting mitts works well too, but there's something about having somebody punch at you back that really changes the whole dynamic of just the conditioning aspect of it,
How many rounds are you preparing for?
We got 6 rounds, but I'm doing at least an easy 12 rounds right now. So I'm just trying to make sure I get in shape, and I wanted to make sure I'm in real good shape because we're fighting in Albuquerque at altitude. So that's going to add another obstacle to overcome for both of us. So, it's going to be, it's not going to be as easy as doing like a regular 6 here in South Florida at sea level.
I don't believe in elevation. I think the heat and humidity in South Florida is just like elevation, heavy air on your lungs.
Yo, wait. Have you ever fought in elevation?
I've been out there. Yeah, I beat Luke Rockhold in Colorado. It was about 8,000 feet. I've been in Mexico. I've been in, when you get to like 11,000, 13,000.
You beat Eddie in Utah too.
Yeah, Utah, Eddie. We was up there, and I didn't. But
Wait,
it's
wait,
different.
wait,
So
wait.
that makes me wonder, because you said you're doing 12 rounds, but you got a 6-round fight. So when I fight, a BKFC fight is 5 2-minute rounds. I'm not doing the 3-minute rounds in boxing. I'm practicing. We do the total line and we take off, and for 2 minutes I'm going in, and I'll just do 5 or 6 rounds because we might have that sudden death 6th round. So I just do that many rounds so that my body gets used to performing at a high pace for that amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And there are times that I do just 6 rounds, right? Just so I get used to the whole pace and timing of it. But just to really get my body and make sure that I'm confident enough to go a hard 6, I started going 12 just so I know that I got it, because part of being able to go a hard 6 is believing that I got the conditioning, right? I mean, that's where the conditioning comes in, is just believing in that believing that I have it. And a lot of times you get tired, not from being tired, but actually the fear from being tired. So I really wanted to mentally get past that. But you bring up an interesting point, and it's very interesting that you never felt the elevation. But see, Mike, you a different breed, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a part of you just like your body was probably suffering, but just the way your mind works, you was just like, nah, that I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, have to, man. We was sparring doghouse rules yesterday, man. I kept standing in the middle of the ring like every round. I don't want to go another round, but I'm gonna be here until they don't want to be here no more.
Yeah, see that's the part in you that is hard to teach. You know, it's that dog, and it's that willingness to say my will is stronger than yours, because in a fight, that's what a fight is. It's a battle against wills. And if you can oppose your will on the next man, and for you, you've always taken it to the step of I'm going to outwill you. That my will is stronger than your will. And that's what I always admired about the way you fight. Even when you lost, it was always about you just imposing your will. You wanted to go out how you wanted to go out.
Mm. You've always been a smart guy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Rashad's a great mind.
Very
Dude.
intelligent fighter. You fight very
Appreciate that.
smooth. I
Yeah.
think you know my guy, Jay Smooth.
Oh, I
Y'all
do know Jay
Michigan
Smooth.
State boys.
Me and Jay Smooth used to live together, man.
Yeah.
We in college, we were college roommates. I was a wrestler and he was a track star. He was a long jumper.
That's a tough sport, track.
It is. I would have never ever thought in a million years that he would be as bad as he is right now.
One of the
Like
top coaches, man. He's got like 6 UFC fighters right now. Shout out Fusion X-cel, Jay Smooth.
Yeah, I would have never believed that, because when I first moved down here, he came because he told me he was doing jujitsu like when I first started getting into it, and then when I started to really take off, he said he was doing some jujitsu, and I was like, all right, cool. You know, I didn't really know how much he was really doing it, but then once I started to really get down the road and start making a name for myself, I came to South Florida, and then he was like, yo, I want to come down and get some work in, and he came down. And he was nasty, and I was like, okay, he was good back then, and that was probably about probably about what 15 years ago right now.
Wow.
So yeah, so he been doing it for a while, and just to see where he's at right now, I'm so impressed with him, man. But he wants to roll with me now, because every once in a while he'd be like, hey, yeah, why don't we just get some rounds in? And I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. When you catch me, I'm gonna be in shape, sucker. You are not about
He
to
ain't
just
that way though. He ain't that way though. He really ain't that way, man.
That's right. But I want to go back to what you said a second ago about mentality, right? Because I always like in my head when I'm watching Mike fight, right? Is I'm like, what's worse? The guy that hits you so hard you're like, or the guy that you hit so hard you're like, but it don't phase him, right? Because then it becomes like a mental thing. So I don't even know what's worse. If you can hit harder or you can take those shots, it's got to be so disheartening to the opponent at that point. It starts to break them down mentally.
You know, for me, it's always the guy that you hit, and then you think that's a shot that's gonna get him, and then he looks at you like, yeah, let's go, and he keeps on going, and he won't fade, and he keeps going, and then you're getting tired, and then he's getting more energized, and then he's starting to come on, and then those shots that were just like little pecking shots in the beginning of the fight are now starting to add up and hurt. That's a scary dude to be in front of.
But that never really happened to you.
Nah,
You were a smooth fighter, and if you hit someone that could take it, you just kept hitting them.
Yeah. I've had my nightmare fights though. Fights where I fought, like when I fought Brad Imes. That dude was so big, 6'5", 265 pounds. I fought him at heavyweight for the Ultimate Fighter. I hit him with some shots, and this dude kept getting up like Frankenstein. Like I was so exhausted and tired, and I was like, "Damn, is my punches not hurting?" Because he'll fall down, but the way he would get up and he just kept coming, I was like, "Yo, this is a nightmare, man."
That's a fun matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun until you're so tired you piss yourself in the middle of the fight.
Oh man. So Rashad, it's been a while since you fought. I don't know how many years would you say?
I fought in 22, so about 3 years since I
Okay,
last
3
fought.
years
Yeah.
since you fought, and you've been on the commentary team. You've been a UFC analyst working behind the desk over there in UFC. And we're about to have our show in Coconut Grove, Florida for Dirty Boxing 1 at the hangar, and I'm going to be on the commentary table. What are some tips you can give me for talking about the fights that are happening in front of me and or just happened? How can I keep the microphone booming for an event?
Well, Mike, just be yourself, and that's one of the things that people love. They love when you're yourself, but when you're breaking down the actual fight and when you're talking about the fight, just make it super edible for people. A lot of times when we talk amongst each other, we have a tendency to talk, but when we talk, we 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 can talk over the normal person's head. So we got to just make it super simple for them to understand. Just kind of you got to assume that no one's ever seen a fight before, and you got to just really make it edible for people. Some people that know what's up will be, they won't be annoyed by you making it simple, but at the same time, you will get a lot of people who may not understand the concepts because you have a whole understanding with the whole dirty boxing and everything that people don't even know yet, what to do as far as, all the little things and all the little nuances of the sport that most people don't know. So just break it down and keep it simple. And most importantly, just be yourself, man.
That's good advice. Thank you.
Have you seen it yet, Rashad?
I seen highlights of the last one.
You
So
mind?
I'm
Hey, you
excited
mind if
to.
we pull up a video?
Yeah, I
Because
don't mind at all. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Rashad would smoke in.
Yeah.
The new sport, baby.
Oh,
Mhm.
I seen that. Oh, yo, Romero. My God.
Bro,
My
is that
God,
guy?
yo.
Hey, the Terminator. He's the
Yo,
Terminator. It's
yo,
crazy.
he's. I don't even believe how old he is. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh man.
like for real, man. Like what? What a specimen. What a specimen for real. To be, I mean, geez. But that's pretty dope though. So there's no groundwork. Everything is just on the feet, pretty much, right?
Yeah, Mike, you want to explain it?
Yeah, so it's boxing. It's all upper body striking. You can throw Superman punches, spinning back fists. You can box them up with jabs and right hooks, or you can throw an elbow through the guard. And if you knock an opponent down, you can follow them to the ground, not onto your knees. You have to stay on your feet, and you can ground and pound them, and they can try to fight their way back up to their feet. There are a couple of ways to do that. A lot of people had problems doing that in the first show. Um, you can grab, and if you're getting knocked down, grab and hold on, pull your opponent down to the ground with you, and the ref will pause the action and stand you back up to your feet. Or you can push kick off to the chest and stuff. Oh, and I just did an interview. I was gonna tell you, the guys at the other podcast were saying, Oh, you got to have some face stomps in there. We should do that with the shoes. And then that would give the guy on bottom the ability to up kick to get up.
Yeah, yeah. Dang. So yeah, you can just keep. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty dope though. It's pretty dope, and I like it because once again you carved out your own little niche, right? Your own little niche in the whole combat sports lane. That's pretty dope, man.
Thank you.
Now
Hey, you
now let
down
me
there in
ask
South
you.
Florida. Why don't you come on out? Come see the show.
I'm gonna make sure I come on out. I'm gonna make sure I come on out. Now let me ask you. Are you gonna fight in your own show?
I want to.
You want to?
I do
Yeah.
want to. I
Okay.
like the rule set.
Yes.
I like the
Yes.
boxing.
Yes.
I get to put the gloves on again a little bit, and because people don't be wanting to fight me with no gloves, and
Right.
so I'm
Right.
like, yeah, let's go dirty boxing, and it just needs to make sense. Got to be the right name, got to be the right time, and I got a couple companies clamoring for me to try to make a fight for me this year. I can't wait to get back in the ring this year. So.
That's dope though. So you done with the BKFC, or it might be something that happens a little
No,
later on.
I'm
It all
not
depends.
done. I still have some stuff on contract that I would like to fulfill.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make the right calls there, and if that doesn't, if it's the time for that's not right now, then maybe dirty boxing. But dirty boxing's right around the corner. I'm not fighting on this one, so I keep hearing this month, that month, the next month. We'll see. Let's
Yeah.
go. I'll be ready. I've been training. I've been working, and I'll pick it up when they say for sure.
But Rashad, you know the fight that needs to be made in BKFC, right?
Yeah, him and Connor.
Nah. Well, him and Connor, yes, 100%. But him and Robbie.
Oh, him and Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
Is Robbie gonna fight though? Is he been talking about it?
We'll find out soon.
Well, I've heard that cause look, them guys are throwing some serious money at the names,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
accept these matchups against me. So, if it'll bring them the eyeballs, and Robbie played it tough because I called him out. It was respectable. When I called him out, I was in the ring, and he didn't do nothing. He just sat out there in the crowd, and he was like,
Yeah,
"That's
yeah.
it."
He played
That
it
was all
cool.
he did.
But that's Robbie all day though. Robbie the coolest cutter in camp though.
Yeah.
Robbie straight chill.
The only time he talked is that interview where he said, "I'll take your soul."
Would you fight bare knuckle? Because like a lot of people won't.
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm gonna be honest. I thought about it a bunch, but I don't know if I'm cut out for that. I'm gonna be honest. Man.
All right.
I don't know if I'm cut for it because it's
Cool.
it's like it's brutal. It's brutal. Like
It's brutal though. It's brutal.
it's brutal. Like the way Eddie would describe it to me, I'm just like, you know what, man? I'm not I'm not sure if I'm ready to bring that side out of me. Because there's a certain level of detachment that you have to have for yourself in order to compete the way that Mike competes. Like, you got to understand that, like, going into a fight anyways, you never know how you're going to come out. And there's times where I went into the fight and I never was the same after that fight, right? There's another level of divorcing yourself from, from just
Life.
from life. Yeah, you got to be willing. You got to be willing to understand that I may never ever come out the same. You see this eye that works good, I may never be able to see out it again. There's always these things that you're negotiating, and that's where the anxiety comes in at, because you're gonna get hit, you're gonna feel some pain, and you just hoping that it's in a way that you can still have a great life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure if I'm ready, and I'm not sure if I'm mentally able to, at this point in my life, do that, because there was a point when I was a young man, when I was a dog, and I'm just like, yeah, bring it on. I'm ready and I'm hungry to fight whoever. But then that changed. And I don't, and in order to be able to step into a bare knuckle fight, I got to be able to bring back some of that veracity that I had to just want to hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that's why we built dirty boxing, right? because you get 4-ounce
I was
gloves.
gonna say that.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get 4-ounce
yeah,
gloves. So it's like
yeah,
you guys are used to fighting in 4-ounce gloves. All right, so it's 4-ounce gloves. You get the elbow. Like I think you would be phenomenal in that, and you don't have the same risk of injury as you do with a bare knuckle. You just don't.
yeah. And that's something I would definitely consider doing. That looked right up my alley, man. It looked like
I know it is.
it kind of had a feel, honestly, like when I first started fighting, we had to fight in these smokers, right? And these smokers, they weren't, you know what I'm saying? Like you went and I fought in like the first 3 events that I ever fought in were all tournaments. So I'm fighting multiple dudes in one night, you know, having to stitch my eye closed with super glue and that kind of stuff. So it kind of has in some of those places, you know, it was like they were on reservations and some was like in bingo halls, but it was just that old school, like, yeah, we about to just fight. Like this is what we doing. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like so much right now, in fighting is like since I was with the UFC, I got kind of civilized in the whole fight game and to say, you know, have an event, have an opponent, and do the whole ceremonial stuff. But there's a part in me that just want to fight. Just like like
I didn't
if
know
a
that
street,
about you.
yeah, man. Like if a street fight happened, yeah, you know, I mean, I wouldn't advocate for it, but there's a certain excitement about a street fight that that I like. I like it fast. You know what I'm saying? I like the action fast.
You
So
so buttoned up and professional for the last like 5-10 years in the UFC. I'm like, I didn't expect that dark side of Rashad Evans.
yeah, man.
Oh,
That's
come on.
I didn't. I didn't know it was there. He fights so clean and so crisp. Like he's a real hit, don't get hit type of fighter.
yeah,
There's not a lot of those in the UFC. A lot of guys in the UFC, MMA fighters, they take hits in order to grab a clinch or
yeah,
get inside. And you know, I'm definitely I'll take a hit to land a hit, but you know, I'm one of the other. I like to strike. You know what I mean? I like to
yeah.
throw big punches, and I don't mind if you throw them back at me. Rashad's
Yeah,
always been a good
you
striker.
get excited. You get excited when you get hit with
Yeah, a
a
little
good
bit of
shot like that.
blood, a little bit of blood
Yeah,
get me going.
like when you get hurt, I would love to hear the dialogue that you have going on in your mind,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because you can like
Yeah.
as a viewer, you can almost you can almost make out what you're thinking because sometimes you'll be mumbling to yourself and you get upset, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, you can see him, I can see you mumbling. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that craziness about to kick in. Like when you fought Jake Paul, I'm just like, okay, it's gonna take one of these shots, and then and then the other guy's about to come out, man. But it was
Problem,
just a
I
different
tried
aspect of it.
like when he knocked me down in the first and the second, those weren't like I don't know what his positioning and his size and the length of his punch that really did it, but it wasn't like damaging shots to the
Yeah,
brain. They weren't that. It just kind of knocked me over with his weight. And then
yeah,
I got up in the second round and I started taking that round. And my second and my third round in that fight were good.
yeah,
But
it was.
I first punch of the fight, he got my rib. And my rib for 4 weeks after that fight, I couldn't like every time I got out of bed, it was a strain for me to move. He broke my rib. And then so I was dealing with that the whole fight and it started
Oh,
slowing me down in the fifth and the sixth.
bruh, I listen. I feel you.
I
I
want to
feel
fight
you.
him in bare knuckle or in
Yeah,
dirty boxing. When I
yeah.
needed some dirty boxing against him and they wouldn't let me do it.
They will let you do it. I feel you with a broke rib, man. I remember I was sparring Tyrone Spong,
Uh,
and it was right before I had to fight Phil Davis, and we were working together, and I was kind of getting off on him for a little bit, but in hindsight, you know, he was letting me get that work in, and I kind of like was like I kind of was kind of like showing off a little bit, and he was like, "All right," and then he like threw a shot, wow, bow, blasted me to my rib, bruh. I couldn't breathe. Like I finished the round out, but my ribs was cooked after that. I had to get my ribs. I had to get like a what is that? I had to get some shots in my ribs before the fight with Phil Davis, man. And it was painful in that fight. And every time feel through a punch where I had to wrestle. Oh my gosh, man, it felt like it hurt. It hurt a
That
lot. So I
shit takes
definitely feel,
6 weeks.
bruh, yeah, and then I was 2 weeks out. So it's painful, man.
It's funny. Wonderboy was on here just a couple weeks ago, and he told a story specifically about what you're talking about. And he said he was in the gym training with you guys one day,
He
and
didn't
he
name
looked over
drop
at Spong, and he said, "Let me go train with him."
He
And he
didn't
said,
name
"Rashad
drop.
came over and protected my ass and said, you're not sparring with him. You're gonna get hurt."
He said
Yeah.
he was gonna try to knock him out.
Oh yeah, you can't. Back then, you couldn't spar with Tyrone Spong. Like if he didn't know you, and you come into the gym and you trying to like, he'd be like, okay, like he wasn't going to fry you right out the gate. Like he wasn't crazy like that. But if you went with him and he felt your level went high, then he was gonna bring his level high. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there was no comparison to like your level versus his high level, but he'll bring his high level to your highest level. And yeah, I seen him cook a lot of people in there, man.
What was it like sparring with Wonderboy? Because I know he's a slick striker. I know he uses the length of his legs in the point fight. You know, that karate.
Yeah.
They'll touch you with their legs. And for you to be like a boxer style fighter, what was it like boxing against that type of footwork?
You know, it was hard to deal with. When I first got a chance to spar and work with Wonderboy was when I was getting ready for my fight with Lyoto Machida. And he gave me fits, man. He gave me fits. Like he was catching me, moving around. I'm like, who the fuck is this kid, man? I was so annoyed and I was so frustrated, but he gave me a good look though. But not a good enough look because I ended up walking on to something in that fight.
Man, I get
but
to
it, but
play
he,
with Lyoto a lot nowadays.
yeah, Leona's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude. But I mean, he had that style back in the day that was just really hard to figure out. But Wonderboy had that style as well too. But Wonderboy had more movement than his
More
style.
speed. Yeah.
Yeah, more speed. Leota was good. And one of the things that Leota did that kind of threw me off the game right off the bat was he threw a high kick as hard as he can at my head, and he didn't care if he caught me with it or I blocked it, but he just wanted me. It was like a display of strength. Like if you ever fight somebody and you throw a heavy punch, like I started doing it after he did it to me. So what he did is he threw a kick as hard as he can, and I felt how hard he kicked, and I'm like, yo, if that would have hit me, I would have been gone. So I was like, I'm not gonna get kicked like that again. So I started rushing, and I started rushing my technique. And when I rushed my technique, that's when he was able to hit me with that counter left that started the demise of the fight. So whenever I started fighting people, I'll be like, okay, I'll display my strength. I'll throw one punch hard as I can, whoom, just so they feel it, just so they feel how hard I can punch, and then they'll be on notice. And then from there, they'll start, giving me a little bit more space and backing up a little bit and respecting my power, even though I didn't even punch them yet, but they just felt how hard I can hit. Smart move.
I mean, you're very smart about how you can talk about a former loss like that and explain how you learned something from it. You know, that's tough to do. Sometimes I'm pissed off. I'm like,
Yeah, I know, man. But I've learned more from my losses than I did from my victories. When I lose and when I've lost, it's been some real contemplative moments. There've been some dark times. As a fighter, you're only as good as your last performance, and when you lose a fight, you can feel like shit for a long time. But it's being able to get the jewels out of that loss that really makes a difference in your next performance. And it's actually a lot of fuel as well too. Whenever I'm training and whenever I want to quit or whatever, I feel like I'm taking it easy, I think about those times where I lost. I think about all the that people say about me. I think about the things that I've stored away, and I try to break myself because I realize more than anything, it's not about the opponent, rather in a ring or a cage just in front of me. It's about me, and it's about me imposing my will. So if I'm going to impose my will and I'm going to make it about me, then I got to be able to defeat that weak part of me that wants to quit. And whenever I'm training or whenever I'm doing something, getting ready for a fight, that's the guy who I'm looking for. That's who I'm looking for, that weak part of myself. And I try to beat the shit out of myself and get it out of me, just so that way, if I lose, I lose, but I won't lose because I'm weak.
GSP said that he took a brick with Matt Serra's name on it and he carried it around. I'm gonna put a brick with Jake Paul's name on it in my gym bag. And I'm gonna carry that around. And I was saying this morning how they released the interview I did for Dirty Boxing. I said, you know, I'm a first time type of guy. Like, you give me one try and I'll outperform. Like, I'll overperform. And like, I thought about it, and when I said that, I'm like, damn, but the first time I got to fight Jake, but then I was like, no, because I sparred him in the gym and I was on his ass, and then we fight 2 years later and it wasn't the first time again. So like, I need a third try with that one. I was just trying to make that fight happen. I want to fight it.
Yeah, so I heard about y'all sparring, man. I heard about y'all sparring. People tell me different things about it, man. People saying that,
He hit me with some good shots, but like,
Oh.
he hit me and I'd be like, yeah, come on.
Okay,
Like, I
okay.
wanted to feel that one. I knew you had a little right hand and you sniping it in there. But then rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6, you running into some, you keep ducking into my uppercut. So that
Yeah.
sparring round, you know, he learned from that. And then he had this boxing team around him for the last 5 years. And
But wait, Mike, though, wait. How good is Jake Paul? Because I'm flabbergasted, to be honest, man. But what I can say is, I can recognize that he is a very talented kid, and not only in how he's been able to absorb the fight and get better incrementally, but how he shows up under the lights. Showing up under the lights is the hardest thing to do, and this kid continuously does it time after time.
he has that showmanship of, you know, the cameras are always on, or he's always been famous. He's got millions and millions of followers, and has always been in the limelight. I respect him, his business, and the way he mentally handles himself. And I honestly feel like, you know, it's unfair to him that he didn't get to face the best version of me.
Yeah.
It's just unfair to him. It takes away from his win against me. You know, I stepped in for Mike Tyson, Iron Mike. I had to make that walk. I made that walk, and it just wasn't the best version of me. And that's what everyone was waiting for in the fight. They're like, when's that Mike Perry coming out? And a little bit came out second and third. But we got to do it again, Jake, because you need to face the best version. I need more than 3.5 weeks. Give me 6 to 8.
I got 2 questions here though. How hard does Jake hit compared to some of the best people you've had, right? Second is, for Rashad, what do you think happens if they put the small gloves on in dirty boxing and it gets dirty?
Let me go with my question first.
All right.
I think if they put the small gloves on, there's no doubt in my mind that Mike Perry gonna win that fight, because that's where Mike is more comfortable at. But more importantly, like, there's elements in that style that Jake just haven't been able to, you know what I'm saying? Like, he is just very different. But I feel like in a situation like that, Mike will come alive a lot sooner, just because of the fact that he's got that kind of conditioning in the bag. You know what I'm saying? He probably can jump off and do a good 10 rounds like that, just because of the fact that he's always consistently training in that manner, you know? So I think that Mike will smash him.
It's a comfortability level.
Yeah.
You know what you got, you know what you bring in. Where Mike went into the deep waters, right? Fought a much bigger guy that all he's done is train boxing. Mike wasn't training boxing.
You know, he's as good as his team around him. You know, he's
got a great team.
Consistent with his great team, working on fundamental boxing as good jab, good range, good size, and uses his footwork a lot. And, you know, I'm fighting a lot of people, whether it be bare knuckle or UFC, in UFC, if they use their footwork, you end up on the cage and you're either in the clinch fighting dirty, or a takedown might be involved, or a trip, or the range is different with a kick involved. So it's just unfortunate. That's I hate that, but I would love to redeem myself. I'm waiting for my opportunity to redeem myself. I need another fight, whether it be bare knuckle, whether it be dirty boxing, even boxing. I'm 0-2 in boxing. Idris Virgo's out here. He's finally gonna fight someone. The little cigarette from UK. I'd fight that guy. I think he's 12-0 as a boxer from Love Island. I think he boxed a bunch of influencers. So, who knows, man? There's lots of fights. Maybe I got the winner between Rashad and Rampage.
There you go.
We
There
can
you
box.
go.
Let's
There you
box.
go.
Thank you, Rashad.
Let's box.
Thank you,
Y'all
Rashad.
big
But
though, man.
no, I'm like it. How hard did he hit though?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just the first shot caught my rib. None of the shots hurt my brain. Like, I didn't have a headache after that fight. I was very clear-minded, and I've had fights where I got headaches waking up the next day. And when my eyes are swollen, like, you got a little bit of a headache. Like, I didn't have a headache getting hit with the gloves on. It was different. I'm 0-2 as a pro boxer.
How many ounce of gloves was it?
So I had on 10s. Somebody said they thought Jake had on 12s. I'm like, why would he do that? Why would he have on bigger size, different size than me?
Right.
And they were trying to say like that was better for him to have on 12s. I'm like, how would that be? They're a little bit heavier, like, but that doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, no, he had on 10s. I had on 10s.
Yeah,
And I should have used my Reyes gloves that had my name on them, said Mike Perry. Because when you fight boxing, when you bring the gloves to the event, I found this out that day. So I ordered these purple gloves because they were going to match my purple outfit. But I only had one pair. So when you go to boxing, you got to have 2 pair of the gloves. So I had these Reyes that were delivered to me that both said Mike Perry. And the reason you got to have 2 pair is so that if your opponent wants to wear one, they can. And so I had the white gloves, and I was told, the Reyes is the puncher's glove, the Mexican glove, this and that. And I'm like, but they don't match my outfit. But the white would have looked good getting some of that blood. How many of Jake's opponents made him bleed? I think it was just me. I made him bleed.
Yeah. Rashad, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Looking back at your career, what were the biggest fights, either positive or negative, wins or losses, right, that you learned the most from or had the most fun in? Like, you pick. My first UFC event ever was you versus John Jones in Atlanta. And that hooked me on UFC. Hooked me on it.
That one right there, I would say, was probably one of the biggest learning lessons for me, because going into that fight, there was so much. It was so much emotion going into that fight. I was with Greg Jackson, and there was a sense of betrayal with the whole thing with them now back in John, and Greg and Mike Winklejohn, and I had to leave my New Mexican family, so it was me having to give the same sound bites over and over again. And we did this for months. We did a lot of face to face where it got personal, and it got to the point where that personal aspect of it, it drained me. Like, I just wanted it to be done and over with, because it wasn't for a soundbite. It was something that was truly something that hurt me. And it was during a time in my life where my life was just in disarray. I was going through a divorce, and I was going through so many transitions in my life. And then on top of it, this team that I felt was like a band of brothers who we all came together, I was disconnected from. So it was a very hard thing for me in that respect. And, during the fight, it was a hard fight as well, because I wasn't able to divorce myself from the emotion. Like I was finding myself, you know, almost having like a temper tantrum in the fight and really just like feeling some kind of way that I never felt going into a fight. Like usually in a fight, when a fight happened and the blows start going, you know, you kind of wake up on another level. But for me, there was moments where I was just kind of like, you know what, man, like I was just down on myself like I'd never been before in a fight. Even if I feel like I'm losing, I've never been mentally down on myself during a fight. But I felt like the reason why I was so down on myself was, you know, the emotional aspect of it too. You know, I can hear them calling things out to him in the corner, and I was like, you man, you know what I'm saying? It was just, it was a hard fight for me, but it was one that I learned a lot from. I learned a lot about being able to be a consummate professional when it comes to fighting and being able to find a way to disconnect and divorce yourself from the emotions that you need to in order to get the job done. And most importantly, to not take things so personal. You know, like it's not like far as, you know, get myself amped for the fight. Yeah, I can get myself personal and get revved up off of it. But when it comes to stepping in the cage and fighting, it's not about being personal. It's about execution.
Yeah, I love that answer because I feel like as a fan, right? I'm a fan. And so but I get it to an extent because I'm on with you guys all the time. But to an extent, most fans just expect like LeBron, right? You just need to play well every night because you don't have any personal issues, right? It's the same fighters. Like you always have something going on in your real life, and how does that not affect you, right? Like, but fans don't necessarily like take that into account as well.
Nah, you can be fighting fires on the outside of your life. Nah, they don't really. At the end of the day, like you can be, because you're not a real person to them, and that's
That's
another
right.
aspect of the whole thing that I had to realize. Like I used to get so mad when people would say the things that they were saying to me, but then I had to step back and realize that they weren't insulting me as a person. They were insulting the character in which they thought I was, in which they think I am, but they don't know me, you know. And I had to really make that distinction between Sugar and Rashad Evans. And once I was able to make that distinction, I would just pick and choose what they say and then use that to fuel me up. But for the most part, I really wouldn't let it bother me, and I just kind of laugh at it.
I was saying I think of it really as, you know, people say it's business or personal, and I say, well, it's fighting and boxing, whatever kind of fighting it is, it's a personal business. My
Yeah,
wife
yeah.
likes to rile me up the night before a fight. She's in the damn corner. I gotta lock the damn hotel room door and be like, go to that other room with your mom because you getting on my damn nerves. She just getting in my head, and like I like to get pissed off before the fight, I guess. You know, I go out there the next day and I'm just pissed. Yep.
You are, yeah, that's the see and it's crazy because we all have our certain dynamic that makes us compete the way that we compete, right? For me, I always like to have a fun jovial background. Like I would always have people around me that can make me laugh, you know. Like I will always have Cutman Tate, Coach Mike Van Arsdale, just people that brought that light energy because we'll be laughing and joking the whole time. And then when it's about an hour before I walk out, we'll lock in and we'll just get quiet and get serious and we'll get focused on the task at hand. But for me, I had to be in a good mood to perform well. Like I was never one of those fighters. I was like, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I never performed well like that. Like I can actually count the number of times I actually got mad inside of a fight.
I get that.
It's impressive.
I'm still confused by it. I'm still competing. I'm still confused by it. I don't know. You know, I like to say I gotta keep my cool, so where I'm smooth and I'm on my P's and Q's. I'm blocking. I'm moving my head and stuff. But then sometimes I like to get hit, and then I'm like, I'm going in now. I'm going in. I don't care. It's
Don't change a
very
thing, bro.
confusing.
Don't change a damn thing. Don't
Nah,
change a
nah,
thing, man.
don't.
Keep that state of mind.
But I'm saying both states of mind. Like I'm so
Yeah,
confused.
yeah, 100%. All right, hey, can we? Hey, let's let Mac jump in here. Mac's a huge fan. He's gonna glaze you for about 20 minutes. The 20 minutes is probably gonna be one question. It's probably gonna be one question over 20 minutes. But go ahead,
Well, the
Mac.
problem is, the more we're talking, the more questions I think of. You're obviously like, I'm a huge fan, dude. You are a legend, Hall of Famer. You had an earthquake during your Hall of Fame induction speech. Like what was that like, real
Yeah.
quick?
No, man, that was nuts. I didn't even realize what was happening, and it was just like it was my first time ever being in an earthquake. But I just somehow instinctually knew, like, yo, this is an earthquake, and it was crazy because I was like, right when I was saying something about the ground, it started. I said something about the road, and then right when I said something about the road, it was just very divine, very divine. Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, so going back to what you were just saying, I mean, I could go on and on, but going back to what you were just saying about kind of keeping your cool, I feel like that played out over Ultimate Fighter season 10, the best season of Ultimate Fighter. I don't even think it's debatable. You kept your cool the whole season, just smoking, Rampage, and Rampage is the one who wants to get angry, wants to start all this, talk all this, and you just kept winning the fights. Like I remember when you had Roy Nelson fight Kimbo, and like R.I.P. Kimbo, nothing but respect. But I remember Rampage after, like, what, bro? How are you supposed to get up with the moon sitting on him? And you're just sitting there laughing the whole time, like sticking, nose to grindstone and coaching your boys. I want to know this: was that door fake?
Uh, no, well, the door. The thing is like made out of like cardboard, so they expect people to probably take off into the door. The set on the Ultimate Fighter was really just like a set in the movie. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't it wasn't like a normal door.
Definitely. I mean, he tore apart.
But I mean, but listen. With that said, Rampage is about strong as 10 oxes. That is probably one of the strongest dudes I ever fought in my life.
Interesting. Well, so let me ask this then. I feel like you're such a you ushered out some of the old legends like Chuck Liddell. You knocked him out. That's an iconic knockout right there. And you fought all the way up till 2022. Like, what do you feel? I feel like, and I told Rampage when we had him on, told him the same thing. I feel like the prime of the UFC, and not as far as viewership numbers go, but having characters, stars, like the light heavyweight division, and that was the prime. Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, who you also beat, Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin, you also, that was the
Yeah.
prime of the UFC, in my opinion. If you had the ESPN deal nowadays with those stars, this be like out of control. And when I tell people that I think the prime of the UFC was back then, people say, no, it's way bigger now. Well, I don't give it was the prime back then. And so I'd like your opinion on why maybe, like, is it watered down because of the ESPN deal? What was different about then that they can't create the same types of stars they do now?
What was different about then is that back then we were competing for something different. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the social media influence. It was a sense of just being able to prove that we belong in a sport, because a lot of us fought in the regional circuit. A lot of us fought out of the country. A lot of us were during the time where the UFC wasn't a popular show because it was banned in other states. So we didn't know how long this gravy train was going to last. So every single opportunity that we had a chance to fight, we fought hard, and we fought with a sense of like disregard, and a sense of, if this is my last opportunity, then I'm going to make the most out of it. So it was more from the standpoint of truly just about fighting. Like, I remember when I got done with the Ultimate Fighter show, my mom was asking me, okay, am I going to get a normal job now? That's how little people thought of you can make a living inside the UFC fighting people. So there was more of an understanding that this is our opportunity, and this is where it's going to, if we're going to do anything in it, then we got to make sure that the people, they like to see us fight. So we went out there and we fought our off. And nowadays, with the whole wave of some of the most popular iconic fighters in the world, like Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor and what they've brought to the sport from a popularity level, everybody is seeking that. They want to get that big pay. They want to get paid, which I do understand, right? Everybody wants to get paid for their work, but I feel like the whole getting paid, the whole trying to be the most popular, it kind of robs a rawness from the sport that it was built on.
Can I tack one on real quick to the, I think it's important, especially nowadays. You said you were suffering from depression and anxiety, or depression. I don't know if you said anxiety. A lot of people go through depression and anxiety. Would you say, it sounded the way you were saying, you've defeated that, or at least minimalized it? You've overcome it?
Yeah, I would say I overcome it. And, it's not like a final destination, right? It's not like, I've defeated, depression and I'm never going to be depressed again. No, it's being able to understand and have the tools to deal with it when it comes. And that's how I feel like a lot of times when we feel depression, when we feel anxiety, we just push it to the back and we do other things to help us kind of get over it. And we don't really face it. So we just kind of keep on delaying until one day it just blows up and then we just overwhelmed with it. But having the tools to find a way to get around it is truly what I was missing. And, I do experience some of those feelings now, but now I have the tools to get past it. And I'm not afraid or worried about feeling depressed or feeling anxious because those are real human experiences. To deny those kind of feelings is to not be part of life. And I feel like having those things happen to you is not a negative reflection, but it's, you got to experience the darkness in order to make it to the light. And it's sometimes the darkness is the hard things in life that really helps us to make it through the other side. A lot of the things that were I thought was the worst things in my life happening to me actually ended up turning out to be the better once I just kept to the path and went right through it. So I don't shy away from the darkness. When I'm feeling dark inside and when I'm feeling a certain kind of way, I just see what it's trying to tell me.
One more quick one for anyone watching this that does suffer from these things. I mean, you're a legend. I've already, told you, it's good for people to hear they don't have to struggle by themselves and they're not the only ones that feel that way. Step one, because you've already given a bunch of insight into this, but what would be your number one advice? Short and sweet, first step to get you out of, that pit that a lot of people feel these days.
You got to be willing to face yourself, and you got to be willing to ask yourself the hard questions. So sometimes that's a really hard thing to do, but one thing that I did to kind of help myself to start really getting a frame around what's going on, I would just write down what I was feeling, and I would just close the book. And then later on, when I was feeling a little different, I'll read it. And reading it from not the same emotional standpoint, it really gave me a chance to look at what was a pressing issue. Because when you write something down, when you're feeling a certain kind of way, no matter what you write, it kind of keeps going back to it. It kind of keeps going back to it. And then when you read it, when you're in a different frame of mind, then that thing stands out to you. So then you know, like, okay, I need to really work on this. But we have a tendency in our society to avoid the hard things. We want to avoid it because it's uncomfortable, but we have to understand that it's that uncomfortableness that we really need to seek, because that's where you grow. You grow in the uncomfortable situations. That's where you really learn the most, and that's where you're really able to start to really progress and really start to get a hold of really what's going on inside of you.
Dude, one of the most interesting, and we get some great interviews. We get some boring ass interviews too. Like, people are people, whether they're fighters or not. Everybody's got their own personality. But this was one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had. And that's not just with fight fans or fighters, that's in life. This was one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had.
You're a smart guy, bro. You taught me a lot.
Thank you, man. I appreciate being on here, Mike. I've been a big fan of yours for the longest time. I've been trying to make it over to get some work in with you, with Julian and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I want to get somewhere. I want to spar Mike Perry. I want to get there and get down with him. So one of these days you might see me show up in the gym to to catch some of those bolos.
That sounds good,
We
my
need that
brother. I
video.
appreciate
Hey,
you.
March 22nd, Miami.
I mean, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, man.
You be there. I'm telling you, you be there. I'll put you at my table. You be there.
For sure. I'm gonna be there for sure.
Sounds good, Rashad. Thanks so much for your time, brother. God bless, man. And stay up, bro. God bless, bro. You
Respect,
killing
man.
it.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Thanks again,
Take
Rashad.
care.
Thank you.
Super interesting. UFC Hall of Famer, savage. But also like, man, has a grip on life. You know what I mean? Has a grip on and understanding on life. Oh my God. I meant to bring up and make Mike tell his story at Typhoon Lagoon or wherever the he was. All right, we're gonna save that.
Okay.
We're gonna save that for another guest because it is the funniest story ever. He tells us at Ruth's Chris, and me and my dad are crying, bro. It's so funny.
Good times here. Overdogs podcast. We're about to sign out, but make sure you like and subscribe. Keep up with us. We got a big event coming for Dirty Boxing. Thank you so much for listening. Shout out to our guest, Rashad Evans, dropping knowledge today.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Catch you next time.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks, dudes.